BioWare's looter-shooter Anthem isn't exactly the most straightforward of games, whether you're new to the genre or even a veteran. It's a game chock full of nuances, and a lot of different strategies don't really get explained to you either. It's a game of trial and error for the most part. Fear not folks, we've gone through the grind and done the trial and error so you don't have to. You're welcome. So in order to save you a ton of time, we prepared 7 tips to make you a pro at Anthem, with plenty of tidbits of information for new players and hopefully for players who ploughed in more than 50 hours into BioWare's latest outing just like us. Without further ado folks, here's 7 tips to make you a pro at Anthem. Because of how Anthem is set up, you really don't start getting any decent loot until you get to level 30, so leveling up to 30 as fast as possible is important if you want to maximise your time to loot ratio. First things first, smash out that story. Seriously, just go from story mission to story mission until you've seen out the game's campaign, which is thoroughly enjoyable, may I add. Don't get sidetracked with contracts or side missions until the very end of the game. That's basically because when you finish the campaign, you'll unlock what we call the end game, namely the Legionnaires contracts, which basically consists of a checklist that will have you grinding out various different event types: world events, strongholds, contracts, and quick play missions. The reason we say this is because the game only starts tracking these once you finish the campaign. If you want a super quick way to level up from your teens to level 30, the best way is to simply jump into quick play events. Firstly, you need to do 25 of the Legionnaires contract anyway, but it also doles out a load of XP, sometimes to do next to nothing, because it can throw you right into the end of a mission. 1400 XP for one fight? Thank you very much. One time we went to get the laundry out the washing machine while the mission was loading, yay for those long load times, and came back to 1400 XP. I kid you not, honestly, I swear, it happened exactly like that. It might sound a wee bit obvious to say play with friends, but there is a reason. And bear with us folks, we'll get into the super nerdy and technical stuff in a wee while. First things first, you might want to finish the story alone or with friends in private sessions, because what you don't want is to drop into a story mission that's already in progress and miss a bit of the story. It's fairly simple to complete the campaign solo anyway, we did. Once it's all said and done though, play with friends. Play with randos. It actually pays to play cooperatively in Anthem. Not only do you get bonus XP for playing with other players that goes to your alliance rank, more on that later, but you also complete missions quicker, meaning you level up more efficiently. You won't miss out on loot either, as you can just sweep up any drops from their kills if they should so pop. Also, when in free play, which you can't do privately, use the location of other people around the world to locate world events in the open world. Most people in free play are seemingly grinding world events, so head towards everybody else and get some of those sweet rewards. As an aside, if you're grinding world events for the Legionnaires contract in free play, try devising an optimal route to get as many world events to pop as soon as possible in as short a time. May we suggest dropping into the East Gate, where there'll be plenty of world events nearby. From there, you should head up to the Y in the river near the Emerald Abyss, then head north to the Sanctuary of Juna in the far right of the map. From there, head south to Grand Falls Canyon, slightly west of the Necropolis in East Gate, then head to the far south of East Gate, then to the east of the Eastern Reach District, near the small lake area, and finally, back to East Gate, to the right of where it says East Gate on the map. There won't be a world event at each of these locations in one open world instance, but you should be able to get at least 3 or 4 world events to trigger out of that loop. Crafting in Anthem is one of the good ways to guarantee success, especially late game. Yes, you might get some good drops, but the key to success is unlocking blueprints so that you can re-roll on certain items to get the best stats possible for your build. Those stats being the bonus stats you get for each equipped item. And what's the best way to get blueprints, you ask? Simple, by completing challenges. Let's say, for instance, you're playing the Interceptor class, which we main, by the way, because it's clearly the greatest. In order to get blueprints for your best loadout, you're going to want to complete world events or missions for that specific item you have equipped. We love the Cryoglaive and Plasma Star combo, so in order for us to unlock the epic blueprints for them, we need to complete 20 missions or world events with said item equipped. 4 for level 1, 8 for level 2, and then 12 for level 3. At this point, you can then craft epic items whenever you level up, so that your build is as strong as possible for that level. If you need epic embers, you have 2 options. Harvest them in the open world, or spend coin on them in the shop. What happens when you move on to the next level and want Masterwork blueprints though? Well, I'm glad you asked us. Dotted around Fort Tarsus and throughout the nation of Bastion in Anthem, you'll find 3 main factions: Freelancers, Sentinels, and Arcanists. While these might not seem super important from the off, that couldn't be any further from the truth. Every time you level up a faction, you get a load of rewards that range from making Fort Tarsis look nicer, to more useful stuff like epic blueprints for leveling them up to level 3. However, my dear friend, once you level them all up to level 3, you'll unlock what is called the Champion of Tarsis challenge, which allows you to unlock Masterwork blueprints if you manage to complete it. So, what can you do to get those factions leveled up? Well, the main ones are the story missions and the contracts, of which you get 50 points for, even more so for Legendary. But you can even get 2 faction points for harvesting items in the world, but only if you manage to get an Ember. You can get 10 to 15 points or so for speaking to people located around Fort Tarsis, the one with the yellow speech bubbles over their head. You get 5 points for opening the chest, 10 for discovering runes, and more. It is a slog to get to level 3, yes, but it's worth it in the end. If you're short in one faction, then do contracts for said faction. Easy peasy. Not so much of a tip to be a pro this one, but if you're going to be an exo-suited god in Anthem, then you may as well look the part. First things first, let's get the bad news out the way. There is no easy way to look good in Anthem at this present moment in time. Aside from a few armour options and some stick vinyls, there isn't much out there. I mean, you can paint it however you want though, of course, which is pretty sweet. The only real way at present to get cool looking armour is to buy them from the featured store, which can be found in the marketplace or just by hitting start and then tabbing across. There are 2 problems here, however. 1, it cycles items in and out, so you may miss them. Heck, they might not even have the items for your main Javelin class, and at present there's only a handful of items, and they do change roughly every 3 or 4 days though. And 2, it's bloody expensive. So what's the best way to earn coin, you ask? Well, if you finish the campaign and not spent much, you should have a good chunk of cash already, around 100,000, most of which will come from doing the various challenges that you've done throughout the campaign. But those are only a one-time thing. The best way to get coins regularly are 1. The dailies, weeklies and monthly challenges. These rewards can vary, however, but there is always coin to be made. And 2, perhaps more reliably, the weekly alliance bonus, which depends on A, your alliance tier rank for that week, so basically the XP you've got from quests and or whatnot, and B, your top contributors, which are based on your actual friends on your friends list. That said, if you have no friends, completely random people that BioWare's algorithms choose for you will populate it, so you won't miss out. You ideally should try and find some Anthem friends though, as you will get a friend bonus for doing so. Ah, friends! These are really the 2 most reliable ways to get coin at present. If you do the dailies, the weeklies, etc. and generally play the game with others, playing with others nets you an alliance bonus, so do that. You'll amass a fair amount of experience to get a good chunk of cash once a week, somewhere in the region of around 10k, and that's just from the weekly contributor bonus and not the rewards you get when you're doing the activities themselves, which should be a nice chunk of change on its own too. BioWare has said that they'll be doling out vinyls and emotes via Stronghold chests in the near future, and we hope to see the same when it comes to armour parts. For now though, you better get saving those pennies. Also, fun fact, if you do like an armour set in the store, then head to the Forge to actually get to check out what each piece looks like on your Javelin first. This is seemingly the only way at present to preview the item. Basically, go to the Forge, select the piece of armour you want to change, then jump tabs to the buy screen. Simple, and ever so shiny. What drops you get in Anthem is dictated by numerous things. 1, your level, 2, the difficulty you play on, 3, your Javelin rank. Rare, epic and so on. The truth of the matter in Anthem is you ain't really getting jack until level 30, unless you are incredibly lucky. So getting to 30 is your first objective. See point 1 for the quickest way to grind that out. Next up, the harder the difficulty, the more chance you get for Masterwork and Legendary drops. Bear in mind, Legendary drops are ridiculously rare from our experience. I mean, Masterwork are 2 for the most part, but Legendary is next level rare. Right, so you get to level 30, and when your Javelin reaches around level 400, you're going to want to play everything on Grandmaster 1. When you get to 475, then jump to Grandmaster 2, and when you get to 500, you can make the big jump to Grandmaster 3. So, from a purely maths perspective, your first objective when reaching level 30 is to get your suit up to 396 power. This will change it from a rare Javelin to an epic Javelin. This will require you having level 36 items in every single slot. At that point, you are more unlikely to encounter Masterwork drops and more. For instance, we got 1 lucky Masterwork drop at level 23. That was it. When we hit 30, then made our Javelin an epic level suit, the Masterwork drops happened far more regularly, especially when we did the legendary contracts, available daily from each of the factions as indicated by a purple contract icon. When we reached that point, Masterworks were no longer super rare for us, and we were getting them from world events, strongholds, the lot. Of course, at level 30, with an epic Javelin, they're still rare, but not nearly as rare as they used to be. When you start getting the Masterwork drops and equipping them and using them, the Masterwork challenges you get for hitting level 30 will start to kick in. Then, after a lot of grind, completing 35 missions or world events with said item in use, you can start unlocking the Masterwork blueprints. In no time whatsoever, you'll be swimming in Masterwork items. Yay! And last but by no means least, the key to the higher difficulties is not only playing as a team and combining the strengths of the various javelins, but also mastering your own build and understanding the in-game combo system, which grants serious damage and a nice buff for each of the javelin classes, which depends on which class you use. The combo system is actually quite simple, although never actually explained in the game itself other than in a piece of tutorial text hidden away in the menus. Well, as far as we know anyway. The combo system requires two things, a primer and a detonator. For instance, throw down some frost and then light that bitch up. To be more specific, if you're an interceptor, you can use a cryoglaive to freeze an opponent and then just melee them to initiate a combo. If you're an interceptor, you'll then gain what is called an aura, which then allows you to spread the initial elemental effect to those in your vicinity. This effect is different for each class. For instance, the Ranger does extra bonus damage to a single target on top of your ability. The Colossus does extra damage to all targets in proximity, and the Storm spreads the elemental debuff to all targets nearby. The combo and bonus ability that follows it will be the key to getting through Grandmaster 1, 2 and 3 difficulties. On top of that, making sure your build is ready is key as well, from the weapons you use to the buffs and the abilities you want. If you've done all of what we mentioned thus far, you'll have all the blueprints you need as well to re-roll items until you get the stats that you like and suit your build. You might have to grind or even buy the resources for this technique, but if you've done everything else in the game and you're trying to push another 1 or 2% out of your build, then this strat is your friend. So, when you're grinding out the end game content, doing the dailies, weeklies, monthlies, the daily legendary contracts, which are a must and are great for big drops, and Stronghold, all on Grandmaster and above, just take into account all of that and you should be golden. It's also worth mentioning that Strongholds also carry the best loot drops according to BioWare and have more chances for a chest. World events also give chest rewards, but the rewards are never really as good there as in Strongholds or even the legendary contracts. Anyway, if all else fails on the harder difficulties, pop some consumable sigils before heading out on a mission to get a temporary boost. Who said the drugs don't work? Yeah! Now we have it, folks. 7 tips to make you a pro at Anthem. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, you wonderful people you, and good luck with those loot drops.
You need anything else? Let me know.